either side of a huge replica of the trophy that will go to one of these teams between now and the end of the game around 5:30. We hope it goes the distance to just 90 minutes, and we hope the game goes back to East Yorkshire. These 11 players and substitutes could follow in a path trod by Dean Windus. Got legendary status as Hull City royalty. Will there be another edition, or will it be 11 or 12 or 13 new additions to that cast list come the end of this game? We're about to find out. Commentary of Hull City's opportunity to return to the Premier League 10 years after they last achieved it, and it comes from former record signing Peter Swan and Mike White.
A chance for someone to etch their name in the history books of Hull City Football Club, to add to some of those names that James just mentioned as well. Sergei Yakirovic, he's gone for smart casual, maybe party casual. He's got the trousers, the jacket, the white t-shirt. He just looked to the skies a minute ago and he put his hands together, maybe just one quick silent prayer as the dignitaries work the way across from Hull City.
Hello, and thank you for listening to BBC Local Radio on the internet. Unfortunately, the current programme on this station is unavailable. This is either due to contractual reasons or a temporary technical fault. Please try again later. If you're looking for a sport commentary, please visit bbc.co.uk/sport commentaries for details. For the latest news and information from where you live, please visit bbc.co.uk/England.
The ultimate summit, the promised land of the Premier League, and the staggering £200 million inheritance that comes with it. For the losers, a long, silent coach ride home, a shattered dressing room, and the suffocating realisation that in less than 3 months' time, they have to lace up their boots and start the entire gruelling mountain climb all over again. A very warm welcome along to our matchday coverage here on this Saturday afternoon. It's a sun-drenched, completely packed Wembley, and if you could feel the tension radiating out of the stands right now, you know exactly why this fixture is widely regarded as the most high-stakes single match in global football. I'm delighted you're joining me, Charlie McGuinness, for what promises to be an entirely unforgettable 90 minutes and quite possibly beyond. No matter where you are listening to us across the country, in the UK or around the world, find a comfortable seat and strap yourselves in. We are just under 5 minutes away from the first whistle, and the atmosphere inside this stadium has already reached a fever pitch. The flags are waving, the club anthems are blaring over the public address system, and the nerves in the stomach of every man, woman and child in these stands are stretched to the absolute breaking point. Welcome to the Championship playoff final. But let's be entirely honest, before we look at the tactics, in the 4-decade history of this competition, we have never, ever seen a showpiece final preceded by a week of such astonishing, unprecedented off-field controversy. On Tuesday evening, English football was rocked to its absolute core. Southampton, the team that won their semi-final tie on this pitch, on the pitch at St Mary's, the team who had already entirely sold out their 37,000 allocation for this very match, were expelled from the playoffs by an EFL disciplinary commission. The charge, Spygate, a systemic top-down operation orchestrated by their rookie manager, Tonda Eckert, who sent junior interns to clandestinely film and observe rival training sessions, including Middlesbrough's tactical preparation within the illegal 72-hour pre-match window. Saints' appeals were thrown out on Wednesday night, the tickets were cancelled, and in a stunning twist of footballing justice, Borough, the team they had defeated, were handed an emergency reinstatement. Yet when you look past the Spygate drama, the footballing narratives running through this final are beautiful in so many ways. Hull City and Middlesbrough are bound by a shared modern history. It was exactly 10 years ago, back in 2016, that both of these proud clubs last tasted promotion to the Premier League. Borough automatically, Hull right here through the playoffs. Hull have an almost impeccable record here at this stadium. For Borough, it's a battle against their own historical demons. They famously never won a football match at the new Wembley in 5 attempts and have failed to score a single goal in all 4 of their defeats here this century. Well, the stadium announcer has already read out the names, the team sheets are locked in, and the tactical battle lines have officially been drawn. Let's start with Kim Hellberg's Middlesbrough and the headline news that will have every Teessider talking. Borough line up with Thomas Bryn in goal, a back three of Malanda, the captain Fry and Luke Ayling. Targett and Britton are the two wing-backs. Brown replaces a Tommy Conway in the heart of midfield, alongside Aidan Morris. Out wide, the creative threat comes from Riley McGree and Morgan Whittaker, all supporting the Slovakian international David Strelec, who leads the line up front. But let's look at the bench, because that's where the real story lies. Hayden Hackney, widely regarded as the single most gifted midfielder in the Championship, the young man whose fitness status was the very target of Southampton's spying mission, he's back. He's been sidelined since March the 14th with a severe calf injury. Borough have won just 2 of the 10 games they've played without him, and while he's only fit enough for the bench alongside the lengths of Jeremy Sarmiento and Gilbert, his potential introduction in the second half could completely alter the destiny of this match. Turning our attention to the amber and black of Hull City, and head coach Sergei Yakirovich has shown his tactical hand. He stuck resolutely with the brave, fluid three-at-the-back shape that completely choked the life out of Millwall in the semi-final second leg. Evil Pandor starts between the sticks. The robust back three consists of Semi Ajayi, the veteran John Egan and Andrew Hughes. Functioning as the long-busting wing-backs are club captain Louis Coyle and Ryan Giles. In the engine room, Regan Slater partners the experienced Matt Crooks, providing the platform for a mouth-watering front three. The Algerian starlet Mohamed Baloumi, the directness of Liam Miller, and the physical powerhouse Ollie McBurney leading the line. It's just one solitary change from the side that conquered the Den, and a massive one. The mercurial Mohamed Baloumi returns to the starting 11, replacing the unfortunate Kyle Joseph, who misses out entirely this afternoon with an ankle injury. The waiting is over. The talking stops now. The two lines of players have already emerged from the dark cavernous Wembley tunnel. They've taken up their positions in their shape. The flags are down. The handshakes are finished. The players are just about ready to get underway. 90 minutes of pure, unadulterated footballing drama await. 9 years of hurt for one of these fan bases is about to end. A lifetime of memories is about to be written. It is David Strelec that gets us underway for Middlesbrough. Jared Gillett, the referee, blows the whistle to get us underway. The Championship final has started. What an afternoon we have on our hands, and what a build-up to the game it's been. Kim Hellberg in that defeat to Southampton at St Mary's in the playoff semi-final second leg. He was visibly emotional, upset, rattled by Southampton's actions, but also the effort, the time, the commitment he's put in. The Swede on foreign soils has done his best to embed himself in the Borough culture. It's not been easy for him as well since taking over midway through the season. Rob Edwards' departure to Wolverhampton Wanderers. And what a story at the undercurrent that's led to this point, to see these two sides from the north of England going to battle for a place in the Premier League. It's widely expected that Tonda Eckert won't last very long as Southampton manager. The ramifications of Spygate will roll on. There is no course for appeal at the Court for Arbitration of Sport. Southampton's appeals quickly dismissed on Wednesday amidst an admission of continued spying across it already in the opening exchanges at Wembley Stadium. Long clearance downfield, looking for Ollie McBurney. Ball in the middle of the park with Aidan Morris. Here's Luke Ayling. Just another narrative within the storyline around Southampton and Middlesbrough's rivalry. He was upset by Southampton performance and Middlesbrough's showing as well was down to the fact that Sander Recker had deployed that junior Southampton intern caught secretly filming behind a tree at Rockcliffe Park. It's been a whirlwind build up to the game. You feel for Southampton fans, you have to. They were expecting a day out at Wembley, 37,000 of them with their tickets cancelled, but so many other expenses haven't been able to be recouped. The likes of hotel rooms, train tickets, some of them non-refundable. And what could have been a celebratory moment for the Saints has become one where they're casting the role as demons of the Football League. Oh, win it back inside the Borough half of the pitch. It's awkward for Liam Miller, cleared away though by Dale Fry. Bundling down this left-hand side goes Giles, tries to get his cross away. In fact, he's shot back, held up by Britton. Now that's lifted into the penalty area. No one in there in amber and black, and it's a simple claim for Bryn. Into midfield for the Republic of Ireland international, Alan Brown. Target. Penny for his thoughts, former Southampton Academy graduate. That's in by Target to Ayling. Takes a bit of time on the ball in the corner penalty area. The conditions today are significantly different from what you'd expect in English football. As we mentioned, the temperatures in the capital touching 30 degrees. It's around 29 at pitchside at the moment. The next few days, a summer heat wave has hit Europe. London hasn't been spared the roasting temperatures. Players will have to pick their moments. Free kick conceded by Strelets. Close enough to Target. It's Coyle getting forward. It's away down the left-hand side for Middlesbrough. Target with the ball in his hands already. Like Malanda is playing a more central position, in fact in the middle of the park, with a more conventional back four deployed this afternoon by Kim Helberg. Ayling and Fry, the two centre-backs. Fry, Ayling into midfield for Malanda. Aidan Morris. Is Aidan Morris, the American, to Adelson Malanda. Made back to Morris. A lot of play on the far side. That's where the dugouts are located. Bounces away from Morris. McBurney, little back heel, and here comes Liam Miller down the left-hand side. Looks for Bellumi. It's calm defending from Fry. And Ayling on the edge of their own box finds Morris, corner of the penalty area. Lays it off to Dale Fry. Now Target, left-hand side of defence. Back to Fry, under a bit of pressure from Bellumi. Morris to Target. Well, a reminder as well, we have VAR in operation here. It's a unique feature of the EFL playoffs. You don't see it in league action. It's something that Sunderland will be keenly aware of. Promoted via the playoff final last year. Played a huge part in last year's final between Sheffield United and Sunderland. It ruled out a goal which would have put Sheffield United 2-0 up. Sunderland went on to win the game 2-1, and look at them now, potentially on the verge of European qualification. A big day in the Premier League as that comes to its conclusion tomorrow afternoon. Here's McGree, the Australian. Borough have a player down. Aidan Morris will slow things down. It looks like it's Dale Fry. It is down inside his own half of the pitch. It was an ugly looking coming together with Mohamed Bellumi. It was actually Matt Crooks, I should say. He looks to be in real discomfort here, Alan Brown. Let's have a little look. Yeah, it's just the way he crumpled under pressure from Crooks. Brown was stretching. He had his foot stepped on, and then Crooks' momentum saw him almost tumble onto the top of him. And the ankles got caught underneath Alan Brown. It looks pretty awkward for the Republic of Ireland international, who's just got twisted and stuck underneath his rear end. Well, Hayden Hackney is already warming up on the touchline. Championship player of the season this year. I had hoped he might have been fit for the semi-final second leg. After that second leg defeat to Southampton, despite dropping out of what they thought was the playoffs, Kim Hellberg was at pains to make clear that his side were going to continue to train. He's also since said it's been very difficult for them to do so. The emotional baggage and the uncertainties surrounding and swirling around this game has meant that it's been difficult for them to really understand what they were going to do. Also difficult for Hull, who spent a week preparing to face Southampton, only to have to totally adjust their plans to take on Middlesbrough today. 4 days preparation isn't much, especially in a game of this stakes. Semi Ajayi, 32-year-old Nigerian, deeply experienced. Plenty of that in the back line alongside John Egan. I'll look to guide Charlie Hughes through the game. Signed as a 20-year-old from Hull City 2 years ago. Of the game a little slow in the opening 14 minutes here as Fry moves it on. His target, Malanda, forward, laid off by Morris, and a crossing opportunity for Morgan Whittaker. Can't beat the first man, but they'll have a throw in here. Middlesbrough on the left hand side into the Frenchman Malanda. Whittaker now lays off to Morris. Malanda again, down the left-hand side for target. Into the edge of the box, Whittaker links up with Morris. The pass is slightly behind the onrushing Brown. Here comes Luke Ayling. Ayling won't squeeze it past Liam Miller. That's lifted forward, and he can't link up with Ollie McBurney, so it's Aidan Morris back in possession for Middlesbrough. Here is Morris. Strelets halted up on the edge of the penalty area, bounced into Riley McGree. Morris, low drive. It's a tame effort from range from the American. Well, Kim Hellberg is brave. Fresh trim, nicely tailored jacket. I'm not sure the weather is going to be kind to him today. Ed Morris claimed there was a touch on the ball on the way out of play. I'm sure there was. His target, left-hand side. He claims the cross came off of the Captain Coyle's hand. Keeps the ball moving, plays it against Bellumi, quickly takes the throw-in. McGree, back to target. Target for Morris. Morris to Malanda. Malanda to target. Low cross into the penalty area. Really good defending at the near post. It was John Egan getting in the way. Target chests it down, and McGree lunging in there with a Jai. Brave from the Nigerian. That's clear down the right-hand side. Bellumi in a foot race with Malanda, and the Frenchman will beat him. Comes Morris, turning away from Ollie McBurney. Laid off to Matt Target. Written forward. Helped on its way to Whittaker in the penalty area. Bypasses Brown. Little drop of the shoulder, and that's a corner kick. It was Callum Britton getting forward. He's got a wonderful delivery on that right foot. A couple of questions being asked on social media about Matt Crook's challenge on Alan Brown a few moments ago that led to him having to receive a bit of treatment that maybe it should have been worthy of a red card. I'm not so sure myself, but that's the stakes of this game. Every challenge will be scrutinised, every single moment. First corner of the afternoon. In front of the Borough fans away to our left. It's Target out on that far side to deliver. The in-swinger towards the near post. Flicked on its way. McGree Bit of space. Brown into the penalty area. Slightly too high for David Strelec. The header is over the crossbar. And into the Borough fans behind that goal. And David Strelec not too far away from turning that on target. It's Borough who are knocking on the door in the opening exchanges, and the statistics back that up. 78% possession to Hull City's 22. Hull yet to test the goalkeeper, Sol Bryn. Target forward, held up by Whittaker, halfway line. Poked away from him by Matt Crooks. Target. Whittaker. First time ball lifted down the touchline. McGree will chase after it and just try and harass Semi Ajayi here. It's off the toe of the He's one of the most important creative players for Middlesbrough, Riley McGree. Came through the Australian League system with Newcastle Jets, Melbourne City and Adelaide. Might remember his time with Birmingham City. Making appearance number 128 for Middlesbrough after his 2021 move. Manager Sergei Yakinovich is a little bit quizzical here as to why his team haven't really gained a foothold in the game yet. Here's Adelson Malanda. First, Borough win it back again. Target. Morris. Target. Back to Fry. And now with Luke Ayling. Into midfield, laid off by Riley McGree. McGree for Malanda. Britton forward. Tries to drop that into the box, to the path of David Strelec. Not too far away from it, the Slovakian. It was John Egan that came across to do the defending for Hull. Here is Malanda. Tidy in possession for Morris. On the near side in front of us, Malanda. Fry. Morris. There's no question about it. The halfway point of this first 45. Borough are the better side. Hull pick it off in midfield. Crooks for Mohamed Baloumi. Clipped out to the left flank. Here's Liam Miller. Takes it down in front of Luke Ayling. Sharp challenge for the former Leeds United defender. Giles. Back to Miller. Miller turns for home. It's Charlie Hughes on the halfway line. Down the outside. Not a bad ball. Britton is challenging with Ryan Giles. Liam Miller, little drop of the shoulder, finds the space to get the cross away towards the back post. There's the header. And Solbryn takes no chances as Louis Coyle got on the end of it. It's over the crossbar by way of the goalkeeper's fingertips. First corner of the afternoon for Hull City. First real attack as well. Just got above Matt Targett there. It's the first time the Tigers have bared their teeth. Balumi takes it. It's back to him. Fizzed to the edge of the box where Ryan Giles is waiting. And that one's spooned over the crossbar from the left wing back. Sergei Yakinovich turns. Heads back to the Hull City dugout in disgust. And it's the cue for both sets of players, in fact, to wander across to the touchlines. The temperature means that the hydration breaks are in effect this afternoon at Wembley Stadium. It's also a good opportunity for us to talk to you about how Wembley's stands have been temporarily renamed in honour of football fans linked to inspiring cardiac arrest survival stories. Across the Championship this season, every now and then a game has been designated as part of the Every Minute Matters campaign. That means that it's kicked off 60 seconds later than expected. Around 200,000 supporters attending these three finals and millions watching live across the world on TV. We'll see signage across the stadium as part of that campaign. The four stands will recognise Sunderland supporter Callum Lawson, who survived a cardiac arrest during last season's Championship playoff final at Wembley. Norwich fan Andy Wall, who collapsed in front of his wife and daughter at Carrow Road. Bradford supporter Ed McCann and Reading fan Pippa Sharman, who helped save the life of a rival supporter outside a match. Ed McCann suffered a cardiac arrest while on a work trip to Blackpool in 2017 before being saved by Burnley fan Jason Clegg, who performed CPR until paramedics arrived. While Ed recovered in hospital, his wife went into early labour with their second child. Reading fan Pippa witnessed a car accident outside Kenilworth Road after a game in 2022. Luton fan David Norman had suffered a cardiac arrest behind the wheel, and she began CPR after removing him from the vehicle. This initiative aims to encourage more supporters to learn CPR, with the British Heart Foundation estimating more than 40,000 people suffer an out-of-hospital cardiac arrest in the UK every year. It's particularly poignant as well to Tom Lockyer, the former Luton Town captain, who suffered a cardiac arrest during a Premier League match in 2023. He supported the campaign since its launch, and he said the stories being recognised at Wembley were incredibly emotional and special. Sponsors Spygate and the British Heart Foundation say more than 520,000 people have already started learning CPR through the campaign's Revive R online tool. A very worthy cause, and one that's close to the heart of so many up and down the country. And it takes centre stage here at Wembley, where the teams are back out after that brief pause and the ball is moving again. I'm sure Sergei Yakinovich was happy to have the opportunity to have a quiet word with his players, because they've been second best for the majority of this almost half an hour of this Championship playoff final. Pandur looking for Miller. Too much on that delivery. Long ball down the left-hand side, bounces out of play. Will be a throw-in for Middlesbrough. Fry. Slayed off by McGree. Borough in their own half in the moment. Here's Matt Targett. Ayling. Straight down the middle, the long ball aimed at Alan Brown. And fairly straightforward for the Croatian Pandur. Wonderful atmosphere here at Wembley Stadium, as it always is for the Championship playoff final. Middlesbrough fans took over Trafalgar Square in the build-up to the game. Once again, though, the presence of two teams who have had to travel quite far. Sheffield from South Yorkshire, Middlesbrough from Teesside. Really different ends of the country to where Wembley Stadium is situated here in North London. They've put on extra train services to try and ease the congestion and make it a bit more straightforward for the likes of the Hull City supporters and the Middlesbrough supporters to make their way back. Apologies to Hull. Inadvertently referred to as Sheffield United. But the point still stands that often, whether it's FA Cup finals, whether it's Championship playoff finals, that there's long journeys in different parts of the country to just maybe these club showpiece, centrepiece contests shouldn't necessarily always be played in the nation's capital. Potentially it's some more favourable locations. Ask Borough and Hull, would they prefer to play this at Manchester United's Old Trafford, for example, with its 85,000 capacity, maybe even St James's Park in Newcastle. A much less expensive journey, day out. Wembley brings something special, doesn't it? It's a name that evokes emotions, not just in the hearts of English supporters, but supporters globally too. They call it the home of football. Here's Whittaker, lays it off to Brown. Broken up in the middle by Crooks. Here's Miller. McBurney picks it up in the centre circle. First real time I've seen him pick it up and drive, the big Scottish centre forward. There's a bit of chat about whether Ollie McBurney would replace Middlesbrough's Tommy Conway in the Scotland squad. That injury he picked up against Southampton meant that he didn't just miss out on this playoff final, but will miss out on the World Cup as well, which will be coming in just around 3 weeks' time now. It's Hughes. Back to Pandor. Underneath it was Malanda. Now Target. Coyle to Ajayi. Just volley that away. Taken down by Dale Fry on the edge of his own penalty area. Do have the luxury of that extra defender, Alison Malanda, who can step into midfield where he's been playing the majority of the game. Not a bad ball. Strelec, the touch was a bit too heavy, and Semi Ajayi felt the hand in the small of his back as he got there ahead of the Slovakian. And a free kick, better touch, and Strelec might be in there. It was a good spot from Riley McGree. And was it Alan Brown with the through ball? It was. It's half a sight of goal for David Strelec. Despite his size, Semi Ajayi, 6'4". He's very quick across the ground, the Nigeria international. Joined the club from West Brom in July. 14 appearances for Nigeria, most of which came against Iran back in March. It's Morris. Brown moves it on to Callum Britton. Fry. Ayling. Morris. Britain, 10 yards inside Hull City territory. Tigers fire it away, where it's picked up by Solbreen. Back with Luke Ayling. Again, they look for that early ball forward towards Strelec and Whittaker, but it's pretty straightforward with the base of midfield for Matt Crooks. Ayling lifts it over McBurney's head to Fry into midfield. McGree can turn inside right channel. A support arriving to his right in the form of Britton. We'll use Morgan Whittaker. It's laid off to Morris. Finds McGree, tries to burst his way forward, does Alan Brown. It's Riley McGree trying to force the pass forward. He felt he was held up and had to stretch to try and get on the end of it. In the process, I think he caught a little bit of Charlie Hughes as well. It's long towards McBurney. Fry clears it away. Clatter of bodies just outside the centre circle. Scoop clear by Pandur. Only as far as Whittaker, halfway through the Hull City half of the pitch. Whittaker, edge of the penalty area, being held up at the moment. Brown, Morris, Whittaker has stayed down. Referee right on top of the incident. He's just clambering back to his feet here, Morgan Whittaker. Here's Alan Brown. Morris. McGree. Morris. Brown. Right hand side is Britton. Aidan Morris. Finds Whittaker. Morris with a layoff to Luke Ayling. Ayling between the lines, turned around the corner by McGree. Here is Callum Britton. Here's one for Whittaker to chase. Can he keep it in play and prevent the goal kick? Has to slide in to try and do so. He's at least forced the throw in. Down the touchline, McBurney tries to juggle, so does Liam Miller. There's Luke Ayling to take it away for Borough. Down the outside, decent pass to find Callum Britton, looking for Alan Brown. It's away by Charlie Hughes. Oh, throw in for Middlesbrough. It's Ayling getting forward to take the throw in. This one looks like it's going to be launched. In fact, it's tossed back down the touchline. Britton will try and cross from a deep position. Charged down by Regan Slater. To the penalty area. A little flick on it by Alan Brown. Can't direct his header between the posts though, and that one's wide of the mark. They are racking up the chances today, Middlesbrough already. That's clear by Ivor Pandur. McBurney rises, will drop to Miller, tries to cushion his header down, but that's straight to Callum Britton. Ayling. Morris. The long ball forward, pumped away by Louis Coyle. This is a bit better now for Borough. Might be slipped in behind for Liam Miller. And out came Solbreen racing to the edge of the penalty area. He's put his foot through it and it's back into Hull City territory. But it's the first time they've really linked up there, Hull. Here they come again. Giles. Bellumi. He's in an offside position. Well, it was sharp from Sol Bryn. What came from the combination? McBurney and Bellumi in the middle of the park. Almost released Liam Miller. Whittaker in the centre circle finds Matt Targett. Adelson Malanda. Callum Britton now. Brown. Ayling. They're all in Borough's half, Hull's half now, Borough. Malanda. Laid off by Whittaker. Here's McGree. Left-hand side is Targett. Cross turned away by Ajayi. Morris feeds it through to Whittaker. Here's Riley McGree again. Corner of the penalty area, near side. Morris. Malanda. Swings it in right-footed. Diving header to clear it by John Egan. Recovered on halfway by Dale Fry. Here's Ayling. Malanda. Morris. McGree on the half turn. Tries to poke it through to Morgan Whittaker. Got his toe to the end of it. There's always a half chance. Just smothered there by Charlie Hughes. Strong to Ayling, who takes it down again for Borough. McGree. Still going, Riley McGree. Snapshot came in from David Strelec. He had Whittaker in front of him. Think he was in an offside position, Morgan Whittaker. Couldn't generate any pace with the effort, Strelec. Not sure he was quite expecting the ball to arrive to him either. In fact, it's come off of Morgan Whittaker. It's off Whittaker. You never really know where the ball was destined to go if Whittaker wasn't in the way. Here's Liam Miller down the other end of the pitch, though, for Hull. Crooks. Bellumi. Left-footed attempt from range. Not a bad shot either. He really wrapped that left foot round it. It was always curling. Sol Bryn was comfortable. Middlesbrough fans away to our left. There was a collective sharp intake of breath. And then it was fairly comfortably wide. It's away by Fry. Won't go out of play for Hughes. Back to Pandur. Here's McGree. Picks it up just outside the Hull City box. And now here's Targett. Straight at Louis Coyle. The delivery. Malanda moves it on. Targett. McGree. Floats one towards the back post. Ivo Pandur. And flying out. Touches it away. Hull just having to hold on a little as we approach half-time at Wembley Stadium. Miller has Britton all over the back of him. Liam Miller tries to escape down the left-hand side. It was a little unorthodox from Ivo Pandur. Clever idea, though, from Riley McGree, because Alan Brown was making that run round the back. Flipped on by McBurney. There's Miller. Breaks free for Callum Britton. Now Ayling. Through the heart of the centre circle. Finds McGree. Tried to open his body up, taking on the half turn. Instead it's Ajayi. McBurney now. Coyle. Ajayi. McBurney. Bellumi. Ollie McBurney. Switch of play out to the left-hand side for Ryan Giles. Finds Miller. Forward down the touchline. There's Britton and Brown in his way. Miller. Giles. Moved on by Hughes. Miller again. Britton in the way still. Swung in there. There's McBurney! It's off the crossbar! Inviting delivery. Hull had got plenty of bodies in the penalty area. Wrestling with Malanda. It's just lifted off the woodwork. Inches away from the opener from Ollie McBurney. That's his stock in trade. 17 goals in the Championship this season for Ollie McBurney. So many of them have come with his head as well. It's off the back of Malanda, and that's what's actually lifted it onto the crossbar. Huge moment in the game. Into 3 additional minutes. Ayling. Fry. Britton. Target. On the volley, tries to get it back across the penalty area. Coyle with a throw in deep inside Borough territory. Going to be a long throw in here, and Mohamed Bellumi looks like he's going to take it. Ends up in the arms of Sol Bryn. Here's Trellet. Edge of the box, tracks his shot wide. Just pulls it. 24 Pandua's left. It's probably Middlesbrough's best chance so far. He's done so well there, the Slovakian. And Jared Gillett looks at his watch, raises the whistles to his lips, and there goes the signal for half-time under the Wembley sun as the players make their way down the tunnel to get some much-needed fluid and a tactical rethink. It is going to be time for us to take a quick breath in the gantry after a truly breathless opening 45 minutes of football. If you are only just joining us this late May afternoon, the heat wave is well and truly on here in the capital, but it hasn't slowed down the ferocity on the pitch or the sporting world outside this stadium looks ahead to a massive weekend of sport, a countdown to next month's World Cup. All reality is completely stopped for these 90,000 fans inside Wembley. And it's Borough who will undoubtedly walk into that dressing room the happier of the two managers. Kim Hellberg's side have been the better team so far, sharper in transition, moving the ball with a real confidence, and completely defying the chaotic zero preparation week they've had to endure. Hull City have found themselves second best for large portions of that half, and look like a side still adjusting to the late tactical curveball thrown their way. But for all of Borough's dominance, probably the moment of the half belonged to the Tigers. We were just inches away from a complete smash and grab drama in the dying minutes before the whistle, when Ollie McBurney unleashed an absolute thunderbolt that left Sol Bryn beaten, only to rattle the crossbar and send a collective gasp echoing through the west end of the stadium. Millimetre lower and Hull will be leading. As it stands, though, it remains deadlocked at 0-0. We're going to take a very short break to catch our breath and probably get a little bit of ice water. But don't go anywhere. The second half of this Championship playoff final is next.
Remember.
Reasons into the Spygate case have been released, with the operation being described as contrived, determined and deplorable. A 12-page document was published, and Dave Reed has been looking through it in some detail this morning. Dave, what did the document say? What were the reasons and what did the Commission find?
So this document was released by the EFL but was put together by the Independent Commission. After hearing all of the evidence from the independent hearing. Now, what came out of these written reasons was that the Southampton spying operation was a contrived and determined plan from the top down to gain a competitive advantage of real significance. Now, you'll remember, if we rewind, the spying incident took place on the 7th of May, ahead of that playoff semi-final between Middlesbrough and Southampton. Now, in its initial response to the EFL on the 8th of May, so the day after, Southampton told the EFL that no video footage was captured, transmitted, shared or analysed of the training session, when in fact the opposite was the case, which is here. Southampton initially told them that there was nothing that they gained from that in terms of video footage. Now, that has been called by the Commission as misleading information. The club admitted later spying on two other teams as well, Oxford and Ipswich during the season, as well as Middlesbrough during the playoffs. They were kicked out of the playoffs, a decision that was then upheld on appeal.
So what was Tonda Eckart's role in this? That's one of the big questions, isn't it?
Well, you have to say that Tonda Eckart's future at Southampton must be in doubt. It must be under even more scrutiny than it has been recently. The head coach admitted as part of this hearing to specifically authorising the observations on opposition teams. And for the Borough incident in particular, they were concerned about the availability of one of the Borough players, which we assume was Hayden Hackney. Now, Tonda Eckert did tell the Commission that he didn't find the information that was gained particularly useful. But the Commission said they were very unimpressed by some of the witnesses on Southampton's side who said that they were unaware of their actions being in breach of the rules. The Commission said that did not matter because they are bound by the rules and they have agreed to the rules that are in place.
And also it's just sporting principles, isn't it, as well? We know it was a junior member of staff that was at the Middlesbrough training ground. How have those junior members of staff been treated?
So the Commission described it as particularly deplorable, Southampton's approach and their use of junior members of staff. So the Commission found that junior members of staff were put under pressure to carry out activities which, at the very least, these members of staff found were not unmoral, essentially, or immoral, I should say. So that's the very least of what these junior member of staff were put under pressure to do. And you've got to remember as well and keep in mind that these are members of staff who don't have particularly great job security and, you know, the Commission found anyway, don't have the requisite power to resist what the club and senior members of staff were asking them to do. So a reprimand was handed down to Southampton for the way they've treated junior staff.
And how did Southampton try to defend themselves in all this?
Well, there were a few different ways that Southampton tried to defend themselves. The Commission found that sporting advantage is different from sporting success. Now, it's quite key, the difference between this. So Southampton argued that their performance in the first half of that first leg was essentially so bad that they didn't gain any advantage. You remember I said that Tonda Eckert said earlier that he didn't find the information that was provided to him particularly useful at all. You're seeing some of the Middlesbrough chances just from that first half of the game. There was also some form of cooperation from Southampton for the Commission, although the Commission did say that it was qualified cooperation because of what they described as the misleading information that they gave them 24 hours after the initial requirement of information that was given to them from the EFL. So there were some mitigation from Southampton's point of view, but as it came down to it, the Commission separated it into two different areas. There was a working principle of 3 points deduction for the two incidents of spying on Oxford and Ipswich, so that's 6 points, and then that was reduced to 4 because of the qualified cooperation, and then the separate charge around what happened in the playoffs. And now Southampton have been kicked out of the playoffs for their part. The Commission thought that a financial sanction wouldn't really mean anything because of the money that's on offer, essentially, for Southampton being promoted to the Premier League. We have approached Southampton for comment.
Now to the latest on Spygate. We've got some breaking news on this story. We can rejoin Mark McAdam for the details. Mark, what can you tell us?
Yes, thanks very much, Hannah. Welcome back down to the South Coast. In the last few moments here on Sky Sports News, we've received some information and a small statement from the FA. Now, this is breaking news, and Southampton fans won't be at all surprised by this, but the FA have confirmed in a statement that they have launched an investigation into Southampton. The statement goes on to say, "We will now investigate and won't comment further until we have assessed the evidence." Now, basically what that means is the EFL can impose sanctions on the football club and the team but they can't impose any sanctions on individuals, but the FA can. And this is where the FA will investigate exactly what's been going on with regards to Spygate and, more crucially, who's been involved individually. What personnel at Southampton knew about what was going on, what part did they play, and this is where, as we've seen in the past, the FA could hand out possible bans and they could possibly hand out more significant punishments to individuals, and that's where maybe they will want to look at Tonda, the team, the backroom team, and really just establish who knew what about what was going on. So yeah, a small bit of breaking news there. It comes really as no surprise. Kaveh Solikow, our chief correspondent, was talking about what may happen off the back of yesterday's confirmation that Southampton won't be playing at Wembley on Saturday. But it's now going to focus on those individuals that were involved and exactly what they knew.
So the club released a statement last night, didn't they, maintaining that the punishment they've received is disproportionate. Is that still understandable?
Yeah, you can understand why Southampton feel it is disproportionate when you compare it to other fines that have been given to football clubs, other sanctions that have been issued for, you know, things that have gone on in the past. It does feel like this is the ultimate punishment for Southampton at the wrong stage of the season. You know, we were climaxing towards the Championship playoff final. We know it's the richest game in the world, worth around £200 million. So therefore, to be kicked out at this stage of the season is heartbreaking and is the ultimate form of punishment for Southampton. So in that sense, they just felt like the punishment didn't fit the crime. You've seen on social media people saying, you know, they've been giving the death sentence for shoplifting. They feel it's extreme, they feel it's unfair, they feel it's unjust. But the EFL have clearly taken a very hard stance on this situation and decided that we have to make an example of Southampton. You've broken several rules. You've admitted to spying on opponents, not just once, not just twice, but 3 times. So therefore, we have to punish you in the strictest possible way. And that's exactly what's happened. You've seen from Southampton's statements the disappointment, the frustration, and they realise that they've done wrong. They've admitted that, and they know that they have a lot of bridges to build with the supporters, with the footballing community, and really turn things around, because in 140 years of Southampton Football Club history, it feels like this week, this last 10, 11 days, has been some of the very darkest moments that the football club has ever faced. So yeah, it starts today. We know that this will rumble on for some time based on that FA investigation that has now started. But you get a sense as well that it's the fans and the players that are being punished, perhaps for individual mistakes.
Okay, Mark.
Because they have been officially expelled from the playoffs, and they will also start next season back in the Championship with a 4-point deduction. This also means that we now know 100% for sure that the playoff final on Saturday will be between Hull City and Middlesbrough at Wembley Stadium with a 3:30 p.m. kickoff. Of course, Southampton's lawyers did their best to argue their case in front of this new league arbitration panel, which was effective.
Welcome back to a sun-drenched Wembley Stadium. If you are just joining us, you've timed your arrival absolutely perfectly. The players just making their way back out of the tunnel and onto the pitch for a massive season-defining 45 minutes of football. It is 0-0 at the break, but that scoreline doesn't even begin to tell the story of a fascinating first half. Borough will be undoubtedly the happier of the two managers walking out of that tunnel. Kim Hellberg's side have been the better team, sharper in transition, dictating the tempo of the game and completely defying the chaotic week they've had to endure. Hull City have looked sluggish at times, they've struggled to find their rhythm, and were heavily pinned back by Borough's aggressive midfield press. Yet for all Borough's dominance, it was the Tigers who came agonisingly close to breaking the deadlock in the final moments before the whistle. Against their run of play, Ollie McBurney unleashed an absolute thunderbolt that left Solberry stranded, only to crash off the crossbar. It was a stark warning to Borough, that header, that Hull can turn this game on a knife edge in a fraction of a second. The big question for this second half is tactical endurance in this blistering heat, as Evil Panda's clearance was straight against David Strelec and had to play for a goal kick. He's been full of energy already, the Slovakian. If not that finishing touch, their best chance came at the end of the first half as well. Strelec dragging wide from just outside the penalty area. Well, how long can Borough maintain this high press intensity before Hellberg looks to his bench, and specifically the Championship Player of the Season, Hayden Hackney? How much time has he got in his legs? And what adjustments has Sergei Yakirovic made to get Mohamed Baloumi and Liam Miller into areas where they can actually support an isolated McBurney? 90,000 odd fans making their way back into their seats after a much-needed half-time refreshment in the absolute baking heat of Wembley. A little bit less than 45 minutes remaining for a cool £200 million and a place in the Premier League next season. And it's Borough resuming where they left off. Luke Ayling in the centre circle. Ball down the middle. McGree with the layoff. Whittaker! And it's deflected wide off of John Eager from the edge of the penalty area. Egan in the way. Got himself in the way of a decent looking effort from Morgan Whittaker, just peeled off the back. And that hit David Strelec. Well, it was off the inside of Egan's calf. Oh, we've been through the Spygate scandal already. After Matt Targett takes this corner, whipped in left-footed towards the near post, stretching. In front of it was Louis Coyle, and then over the crossbar by Ollie McBurney. There should be another twist in the tail if Middlesbrough are to win this afternoon. Hull City has confirmed that he's going to take legal action if Borough are promoted in the place of Hull. They feel that they should probably have been promoted anyway. It's lifted deep towards the back post. There's the header across from Dale Fry, who rose at the back post, and it's onto the roof of the net. Two decent corners from Matt Targett. It was the Borough captain, Dale Fry, stretching every sinew to get on the end of it. Bit of a mismatch at the far post as well. As he got up over Regan Slater. Panda's clearance taken down by Ayling. It's a firm challenge from Slater to dispossess Ayling. It's just been the effects of that thunderous tackle from Slater. Little high five between the two. He's hobbling back into position here, Luke Ayling. He's back on the ball as well. Well, no changes at the break for either side, so it is as we started. for Borough. That's Solbrin in goal. The back four of Targett, Fry, Ayling and Callum Britton. Slight tactical tweak. We thought they'd be setting up in a back five. And it looks actually in the start of the second half like Adelson Malanda has just retreated a little bit to slot into that back three of centre-backs. In front of him, Morris, Brown, McGree and Whittaker offering support to David Strelec, the Slovakian international. For Hull, Ivor Pandur, the goalkeeper, Semi Ajayi, John Egan and Charlie Hughes, the three centre-backs, Coyle and Giles, the wing-backs, Slater and Crooks in the engine room, Balumi and Liam Miller trying to provide the ammunition to Ollie McBurney. Here is Miller on the left-hand side. Has two to contend with. Back to Crooks. Giles gets his cross away for a moment. Solbrin was worried. Looked like it might be dipping over his head. It was, but out of play for a goal kick. Nice long by Ayling. Egan to meet it. Throw in halfway on the right hand side. It's Ryan Giles who has the ball in his hands. The Middlesbrough right, I should say. The Hull City left now playing from right to left as we look on. It's Giles, flipped on by McBurney, looking for Miller, wrestled away from it by Fry. That's given away though by McGree, moved on by Matt Crooks. Out to the right hand side it goes. Here's Balumi, on rushing is Coyle. Crooks with the header. Miller can't keep it in play. It was a miscue really from Matt Crooks. They look improved in this second half though, Hull City. Matt Crooks not far away from the penalty spot. Not the cleanest of contacts from the Hull midfielder. They're pressing a bit higher now. That's very tidy from Brown to turn away from two Tigers. Left-hand side now is Targett. Targett looks early towards Strelec. Picked up on the edge of the box by Coyle. Tries to link up with Slater. And that's the old-fashioned hoof from Adelson Malanda. Deflection on the way out though. Borough with the throw-in. Left-hand side now. Battling for a bit of space down that left flank. They can't find it, Borough. Hull are back in possession. Here's Ryan Giles down this left-hand side. Giles for Crooks. Just drifting along the length of the halfway line. Laid off to John Egan. Now Charlie Hughes. Hughes will spin and roll it back to Ivor Pandur. Clip down the left-hand side. Britton is underneath it. Second ball collected in midfield by Regan Slater. Strong defending from Aidan Morris. The tackle's flying in now. Brown was upended, this time by Slater. He's going to remonstrate with Jared Gillett, the referee. Borough get the free kick, and it's across towards the left-hand side with Adelson Malanda. Now here's Ayling. It's long from Luke Ayling. It was pursued briefly by Riley McGree, but too much on the ball forward. Hayden Hackney looks imminent. He's warming up on the touchline still. Borough's game changer. Named on the bench today. It's really a question of when he comes on, not if. It looks like he'll be heading for the Premier League anyway. Plenty of suitors, Crystal Palace amongst them. For the centre midfielder. As Ayling is fouled by Mohamed Baloumi. Hackney not the only substitute on the Borough bench. Joe Wildsmith is the replacement goalkeeper. George Edmondson, potential cover in defence. Jeremy Sarmiento, Hayden Hackney and Leo Castledine, all midfielders. Alex Gilbert is as well. Sam Silvera, Slontia Hansen and Cruz Ibet. Rounds off the subs bench. Here's Strelets trying to burst his way through. That was good work from Slater getting back to help out the centre-backs. Here's Liam Miller for Hull. Crooks. Ajayi spots Miller's run, but as did Alan Brown, and he's picked that off in the middle of the park for Middlesbrough. Ajayi wins it back, bundling his way through. Here comes Louis Coyle into the penalty area looking for McBurney. Turned away by Dale Fry. Ayling kept his composure. There's Aidan Morris to play it away. Too far in front of target. That was over the touchline. Will be a throw-in for Hull City. Well, it feels much more like an even contest now. Just to take you back to that Borough bench, Cruz Ibet, just 17 years old. Signed his first professional contract back in November, Ibet. He's on the bench for the first leg against Southampton. He's played just 14 minutes. There's Brown looking for Strelets, away by Egan. To Brown on this right-hand side, the clearance. Holds off Miller. Quickly into Ayling. Whittaker on the half-turn. Felt he was fouled by Liam Miller. Referee disagrees, though. And now with Regan Slater. Louis Coyle. Big switch out to Liam Miller. Will reach the Canadian. Here is Miller. Britton in his way. Miller tries to get on the outside. Turns back. Edge of the box. Crooks. Baloumi. Won't find McBurney. Hammered away. And Strelec is going to try and upset John Egan. Back to Pandur now. Semi Ajayi out on that right-hand side. Hull look a different side in this second half. Almost as if they were biding their time in the heat of the first 45. They're playing most of their football now in the comparative shade, the shadows of Wembley's roof. Now bathing in the Middlesbrough half of the pitch in a little bit more shadow. Malanda with the header forward. Target felt he was being tugged. It was Riley McGree, in fact, trying to latch onto the header from the Frenchman. Louis Coyle. And his last touch came off at John Egan, in fact, on that far side. All with the throw-in that played back against Riley McGree. In by Coyle. Ayling. Ayling into the centre circle. Brown moves it on. Here comes Callum Britton down the right-hand side. 3 in the penalty area to aim for. It's turned backwards to Aidan Morris. Morris for Alan Brown. Brown back wide to Callum Britton. Britton works it round the corner. Whittaker's back heel doesn't come off. Picked off on the edge of the box by Crooks. Slater. Now that's forward to Liam Miller. Sliding in Luke Ayling. Perfect challenge to win it back for Borough. Morris in the base of midfield. Malanda alongside him. Morris. Malanda to target. Now Fry. Britton. Looks like Hull City are going to be sending on a reinforcement shortly, but first they have to just keep their nerve defensively. Brown, little flick. From Strelec, won't reach Whittaker. Malanda with the header down. Aidan Morris. McCree. Whittaker took it with him. Strelec. Hughes in the way. Back out to Britton on the right-hand side. It was against Charlie Hughes. Miller skipping away. Fouled by Morris. Hull with the advantage. That's over the top. Bellumi on the right-hand side, a little bit isolated. Malanda across to meet him. Here's Mohamed Bellumi across the face of the box. Bellumi balloons it into the arms of Sol Bryn. Here's Alan Brown for Middlesbrough. At a walking pace at the moment here, Borough. Ayling on the edge of the centre circle. Morris. Malanda. Luke Ayling. Less than half an hour to go. Still goalless at Wembley. It's Hull City 0, Middlesbrough 0. Liam Miller. Stepping away down the left-hand side. Back to Giles. Hughes. Ajayi getting forward. Into the final third. Ajayi. Cross. Not the best. That one straight out of play for a goal kick, and a chance now for Hull to get their substitute on. It's the former Leeds United trainee Joe Gelhardt, who came on for such good effect against Millwall in the semi-finals. He's going to replace Liam Miller here. Gelhardt on target in that 2-0 win back on the 11th of May. It seems an age ago now, 12 days between that second leg against Millwall. He'll return to Leeds United at the end of next month. Joe Gelhardt could still prove to be a hero for Hull. They have some other options on the bench today, Hull. Dylan Phillips, the substitute goalkeeper, Cody Drammett and Paddy McNair, the defensive cover alongside Dan Van Turen as well. John Lundstrom, Kieran Dowland. Amir Hatziametovic, Lewis Kumas and Yuhira Kawa. Potential attacking changes for Hull. But for now, it's Joe Gelhardt. Came on with 12 minutes to play against Millwall. And sealed the game, sealed their place in this playoff final. Kim Hellberg, little look over his shoulder at the bench. Borough thinking about matching Hull's move with a change of their own. So that little tactical tweak we mentioned in the first half, Malanda in midfield, it is more conventional now from Borough. Malanda in that back three alongside Ayling and Fry. It's Giles on the left-hand side. Gelhardt. Crooks. Slater finds Gelhardt. Slater cross to Ajayi. Right-hand side for Coyle, left-footed delivery into the penalty area. Powerful header away by Dale Fry, flicked on by Whittaker. Here's Strelets holding off Charlie Hughes, who will put it out of play on the far side. And that will be a throw-in for Middlesbrough in their defensive third. Can't keep it here, Borough. Well, an almighty roar from away to our left. They've noticed Hayden Hackney has emerged from the Middlesbrough bench. The Championship Player of the Season is about to make his bow in the Championship playoff final. From what we understand, it's going to be for David Strelets as well. Here's Morris for Middlesbrough. Malanda. Morris. Ayling. Britton, edge of the box. Heavy touch by Whittaker. Salvages it though, back to Britton. Morris. Morris now back to Dale Fry. Morris. Juggled by McGree. He's done well there. Out to the right-hand side for Morgan Whittaker. Whittaker tiptoeing into the penalty area. Giles was in the way. There's a clash of knees. I think it'll be a corner kick for Borough here, but a problem for Ryan Giles as well. In fact, it came off of Morgan Whittaker last. Hackney just getting those last few instructions from the Middlesbrough coaching staff. It's a little bit of cramp actually for Ryan Giles, and with 68 minutes on the clock, it's time for a water break. David Strelets will be wandering off. Well, the last time Hayden Hackney kicked a ball for Middlesbrough was against Bristol City. They were 1-0 up. They were second in the table. They were heading, cruising, you might say, for Premier League football via the automatic positions. In many ways, this is Borough's third chance of promotion. Bet they're grasping the top two slip. They actually were in the top two of the Championship for longer than eventual winners Coventry City. Lost out in the playoff semi-final to Southampton. Reinstated to the competition. Southampton's infringements. And Hayden Hackney has been their hero from the word go this season. Hull will have their plans to deal with Hackney. And they have a plan of their own as well. Yu Hirakawa is also about to come on. Just one championship goal this season. On loan from Bristol City, Hirakawa. And here is the ovation for Hayden Hackney. And it will be for David Strelets, as we thought. A huge ovation for the Middlesbrough number 7. The championship player of the season is on. What a season it's been for him. 6 goals, 7 assists across all competitions. Came to the academy. He's one of their own, they sing, the Borough supporters. Imagine we'll see Morgan Whittaker push up as the centre forward. Hackney in a more supporting role. Leads the championship in so many metrics. Final third passes, successful final third passes, chances created from open play. It's just been a season to remember for Hayden Hackney. Here's McGree. Target. Finds McGree. Here's Hackney. First touch of the ball down the left-hand side. Across came Ajayi. Immediately doubling up on him. Crooks with the interception on the edge of the whole penalty area. And it's Whittaker now who's leading the line for Borough. Here goes Hackney, surging forward, looks for target, low ball into the penalty area, turned away by Egan, picked up by Crooks. Seems to be a problem now for Riley McGree, who's just sat down. Another player not long back from injury, Riley McGree. And he really came back at the start of the month against Wrexham. His half-time substitute, played over 100 minutes in the second leg versus Southampton. It seems just a coming together with Regan Slater is tweak his left hamstring. Australia haven't named their World Cup squad. Riley McGree will hope to be a part of it. This looks to be an issue. He's had problems with hamstring injuries in the past. He might be forced into another change here, Middlesbrough. Alex Gilbert would be the obvious choice. Also has the talents of Sonja Hansen. Treatment ongoing now for the Australian number 8. Yu Hirakawa has still been waiting patiently just in front of the Hull dugout. He's going to make his introduction now, Hirakawa. It will be Sonja Hansen who comes on to replace McGree. That's the movement we've seen, at least, from the dugout on the opposite side of the pitch. There is confirmation of McGree's departure, and he's going to head straight down the tunnel, I think, so if they can attend to that hamstring. And it is Sonja Hansen. Returns 5 days ago. The Curacao international. He will be heading for the United States, Mexico and Canada with his national side. I'm sure he never thought he would when he elected to play for Curacao. But has a real chance to make an impact today. Came on as a late sub in added time for Borough as they chased an equaliser against Southampton in extra time. And Ryan Giles is going to be replaced by Hirakawa. Cody Drame as well is going to come on. So on comes Hirakawa. And Mohamed Baloumi as well is the one that makes way. So Hirakawa will slot in an attacking position alongside Ollie McBurney. Drame replacing Ryan Giles in the back line. Might have seen maybe Coyle just swap sides. "13 minutes to go of the 90. Here's Hackney. Laid off to Morris. Edge of the centre circle inside their own half at the moment, Borough. Malanda, target. Hansen. Lets it run to Hackney. Wasn't expecting the ball back though, Sonja Hansen. Strong play though to keep it. But the pass towards Callum Britton. He's too close to Charlie Hughes. That's away by Pandur. Ayling now. Flick back to Bryn. Hackney again. Lays it off to Morris. Malanda for Ayling. Morris. Force it forward here, Borough. There's Drame looking for Ajayi, who's getting forward. Ayling again. Brown in the middle of the park. to Britton. Inside to Morris. Flicked forward, Target takes it down. Here's Sonja Hansen on the left-hand side. Hansen shifted onto his right. Hansen gets it back off Morris, just bounced it off the American. Malanda for Aidan Morris. Hackney in behind. Hansen. Will he open the scoring? Brilliant save from Ivor Pandur. Hayden Hackney unlocked the door. The flag goes up. He's offside, Sonja Hansen. He wasn't to know that. Neither was Hayden Hackney. Spotted the run. Coming in from that left-hand side. Just drops a shoulder past Semi Ajayi. It's brilliant discipline, you have to say, from the Hull City back line. And Semi Ajayi with the block as well. Fantastic goalkeeping from Ivor Pandur. Combination of his left arm and left foot. To deny Sonja Hansen. Coyle. Hirakawa. Coyle towards the back post. Target. Tussling! Oh! It dropped to Joe Gelhardt. Looked at lost cause, but he spun on it. Fired it across the 6-yard box. Sol Bryn was caught a little bit unaware there, expecting that to be bouncing out of play for a goal kick. It will be a goal kick, but not the way they expected it to be. Malanda. Laid off to Ayling. Here's Hackney. Hansen. Heavy touch, poor touch. Juggled by Morris. Will find Brown. Helped around the corner for Britton. Britton back inside to Alan Brown. Back to him by Aidan Morris. Morris for Sonja Hansen. Hansen to Whittaker. Whittaker finds Britton. Britton shifted onto his left, laid back down the touchline to Aidan Morris. Inside it goes to Malanda, back to Callum Britton. Now here's Luke Ayling. Dale Fry. Adelson Malanda. Morris. Whittaker. Morris to Whittaker. Not much penetration. Borough keeping the ball a bit better now. Ayling. Right-hand side is Callum Britton. Little drop for the shoulder. Tries to get to the byline. There were two in his way. Morris will pick up the pieces here. Morris's cross. Low towards the corner of the 6-yard box. That's away by Hughes. McBurney. Fry comes flying in, stooping low with the header. Ball bouncing. Awkward for Ayling. Gelhardt ushers it to Hirakawa. Edge of the penalty area, Morris tracking back. Strong challenge on the edge of the penalty area. Half-hearted appeals for a Hull City free kick, turned down by Jared Gillett. Here's Luke Ayling. Malanda. To Fry. Ayling. Hackney. Drives through midfield. Felt he was caught by McBurney. Referee gives Borough the advantage. Britton spurns that opportunity. Straight to the chest of Hackney. Now Hirakawa. Into the box is Slater. Now here's Hughes. Hughes for Coyle. Hughes again, back to the goalkeeper. Long from the goalkeeper. McBurney flicks it on. Hirakawa jumping with Callum Britton. Coyle. Back with Hughes. Ajayi. Dramé. Head off to Crooks in the middle. Ajayi staying forward. Dramé. Ajayi, heavy touch. And he recovers the ball, sliding in with Hackney. Felt that was a dangerous challenge, did Hayden Hackney and his manager, Kiln Hellberg. Hull City allowed to play on, though. Hirakawa to the byline, towards the back post. Too high the delivery. Bounces out of play on the far side. Borough with the throw-in. We have 4 minutes of normal time remaining. Probably a good time to remind you that if we are all square after 90 minutes, we will go to 15-minute halves of extra time. Crosswords between Charlie Hughes and Son Johansson here, near halfway. Jared Gillett is just going to call both of them across. It's a tense afternoon in the stands, and despite the scoreline, it's been an enthralling playoff final. Forward by Dramé, flicked on by McBurney, taken down by Ayling. Malanda pokes it free. Here's Hayden Hackney with the layoff. Fry, Brown, Fry launches it forward. Ajayi is underneath it for Hull. Down the line for Cody Dramé. Held onto by Hughes. Now lifted forward all the way through to Sol Bryn. The fingernails are starting to be chewed across the ground. Morris. Morris from range. It was Hughes in the way. To Malanda from the far side. Morris in the middle. Luke Ayling. Whittaker. Well, he tried to wrap his left boot round it. Instead, it's going to swing the other way. It's had a play for a goal kick. 30 seconds of normal time remaining. Players out on their feet out there, some on their backs. Louis Coyle being helped out with a bit of cramp by Charlie Hughes. We're going to find out how much added time there will be, but as things stand, we are heading for extra time. Spare a thought for those players. Wow. 8 minutes. You will have 8 minutes of added time. Plenty of time for one of these two teams to find a winner late on. Won't stick with Hirakawa. Here's Britain. No. Turns it into the penalty area. Hackney turns on it in the box, looking for support. Sonja Hansen slightly behind him. It's back to Hackney, right-hand side of the penalty area. Callum Britton, Hackney, scooped in there. Whittaker couldn't handle it. Malanda, 30 yards from goal now. Morris, 10 men behind the ball now for Hull City. Brown trying to thread it through, hammered away by Ajayi. That's cannoned off his colleague's head. And the referee's going to pull it back as well to check on him. Absolutely rattled against the temple of Regan Slater. It's almost farcical, that. It's actually off the back of Charlie Hughes' head, and a big hand up in apology from Semi Ajayi, and they'll tends to Hughes here. Sergei Yakirovich, a word in the ear of the assistant referees, the fourth official down there. Supporters in the stands growing ever pinker, ever more nervous. Tension settling in over this stadium. Added time ticks on. Charlie Hughes looks like he'll be all right to continue. Hull will be down to 10 temporarily. Restart with a drop ball. Jared Gillett rested it in the palm of his left hand before moving it to the feet of Aidan Morris. Ayling swings one in there. Diving header from Egan clears the danger. Pop forward towards Joe Gelhardt on the far side, wrestling with a much larger Malanda. He shepherded the ball well, shielded it nicely, Gelhardt. Here's Drame. Ajayi. Gelhardt. Forward to McBurney. That's laid off to Louis Coyle. Hirakawa, left-hand side now for Hull. Hirakawa to the byline. Across the face of goal! It's spilt by Sol Bryn and tucked home by Ollie McBurney. A tap-in for the Hull City number 9. Sol Bryn tried to claim it in front of the near post. An amber and black explosion away to our right. Just as it looked like we were heading for extra time and maybe even penalties, Ollie McBurnie pops up late on. And Sol Bryn is disgusted with himself. He's handed it on a silver platter to McBurnie there. Goal number 18 for the campaign. But surely the most important one he scored came from the substitute Hirakawa down the left-hand side. Bryn's tried to hold on to it. That's the first error. That's the major error. If he punches this clear, the stalemate continues. But he's dropped it straight at the feet of Ollie McBurnie, who looks just as stunned as everyone else around this ground. Spare a thought for Sol Bryn. He wants the earth to swallow him up. The ground beneath him shakes. An explosion of Humberside emotion. Middlesbrough in the carnage following the goal have sent on Jeremy Sarmiento. And Hull will make changes of their own. Off go Regan Slater. Well, Slater's going to be replaced by Paddy McNair. Alan Brown gave way for Jeremy Sarmiento. McNair's going to replace Louis Coyle. We've played the 8 minutes of added time. Coming together on the edge of the Hull City box. McBurnie relishing his moment ever more. Throw in for Hull, for Middlesbrough. For Hull, Sarmiento playing ball boy. Turned back by Ayling. Bryn. Ball forward. Will reach Hansen. Tucked inside to Morris. Morris back to Hansen on that left flank. Morris again. Scooped in by Britton. Defended by Egan. Here's Luke Ayling. Britton. Turns away from Hirakawa. Ayling. Looped into the penalty area. Big header from Ajayi. The flag goes up anyway. Ibe's been sent on. The teenager. A replacement for Matt Targett. It's too little too late. We've breached the 100-minute mark now. It's long towards McBurney. Ayling nods it down. Britton pumps it forward. Off Ajayi's chest. Ibe is fouled in the centre circle. Maybe time for one more Borough chance. It'll be left to Callum Britton. They're sending everyone forward, including the goalkeeper, Sol Bryn, joining the melee on the edge of the penalty area. Callum Britton, high into the box, too high, it's straight out of play. Is that? Sergei Yakirovich unmoved at the moment. In discussions with the fourth official, trying to find out when the final whistle will be blown. Ivor Pandur spotting up the goal kick. One half of Wembley ready to explode. Malanda, helped forward by Sarmiento. It's away from Ibe. Throw-in taken quickly. Semi Ajayi, too strong for Dale Fry. Launched out of play again. Malanda takes it. It's into Luke Ayling. Has to go forward. Launched into the Hull City box. Strong header from Paddy McNair. Ayling again. Malanda. Looked for the switch of play. Got it horribly wrong. It's straight over the touchline. A Hull City throw-in, the end result. Aidan Morris felt he should have had a free kick in there somewhere. Tossed down the left-hand side. Ayling back to Bryn. It's along the deck. It's a poor clearance. It's straight to Crooks. Here's Hirakawa. Flag stays down. Crooks! It's blocked by Callum Britton. And still they go on. Fry with the flick on. Ibe gives chase. It's in Ivor Pandur's gloves. And there is the final whistle. Absolute bedlam at the west end of this stadium. 114 odd minutes of pure, unadulterated warfare under a blazing London sun. And the surprise package of English football have done it. Hull City are heading back to the Premier League. Football, as always, has just delivered a script written in pure, unadulterated cruelty. Because for 80-odd minutes, Middlesbrough didn't just compete, they dominated. Kim Hellberg's men were on the beach on Tuesday before the Spygate madness brought them back from the dead. Yet they played here with a staggering confidence. They passed Hull off the park at times, but they just couldn't find that elusive killer instinct. Hull, meanwhile, did what Hull do. They lived dangerously. They sat deep in their bunkers, absorbed wave after wave of Teesside pressure, and waited for the football gods to hand them their moment. And when it arrived, it was a catastrophe for Borough. The substitute Yu Hirakawa carved open a yard of space and whipped a ball towards the near post. Sol Brim, who'd been an absolute rock for Borough all afternoon, suffered the ultimate goalkeeper's nightmare under the Wembley arch. He spilled it. The ball dropped like a stone, and who was lurking in the shadows but Ollie McBurney? The Hull talisman reacted quickest. He poked it into the back of the net and sent 34,000 Hull fans into absolute rapturous delirium. Borough threw the kitchen sink at them in the dying embers. Hayden Hackney was out there. He's in tears now. But Hull's defensive steel simply would not bend. Think of what this club has overcome. Narrowly avoiding League One last May, hit with a transfer embargo. Sergei Yakirovich arrives in East Yorkshire, blocks out the noise, navigates a week of total chaos where his opponents were rewritten with 4 days' notice, and guides his team to the promised land. The perfect trilogy is complete. 3 championship playoff finals, 3 promotions. Borough's cinematic rollercoaster season ends in the most agonising heartbreak imaginable. But the day, the trophy, and the £200 million ticket belongs to the Tigers. The champagne corks are popping, the tears are flowing on the turf, and the party in East Yorkshire is going to rage all summer long. From all of us here in Wembley, after a week we will be talking about for decades. Thank you so much for your company. Hull City are back in the big time. Full time at Wembley in the Championship playoff final, and it's finished. Middlesbrough 0, Hull City 1. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps, and more in-depth info on the match page.